Hello and welcome to FedBiz 5, the podcast where we break down government contracting in a practical, easy-to-use way. I'm Sam Fields. If communicating with contracting officers ever feels like you are walking a tightrope, trying to sound confident without sounding pushy, trying to be helpful without taking up too much time, you are not alone. And here's what sparked today's episode. We saw an image circulating on LinkedIn with a list of simple, from this question to that question, rewrites for talking with contracting officers. It was one of those posts that makes you stop scrolling because you immediately think, yep, that's exactly what contractors get wrong. So we figured, that's a great idea for a podcast. Let's expand on it and make it practical. A lot of contractors do outreach that sounds fine in their head, but to a contracting officer, it lands like noise. And it is not because contracting officers are rude. It is because they are overloaded, risk-averse, and trained to think in a very specific way. Mission outcomes, acquisition rules, and how do I avoid creating a mess? So today, we are going to fix that. This episode is about best practices for communicating with contracting officers, and we are going to build the whole thing around that framework from the LinkedIn image. It is basically a stop asking vendor questions, start asking buyer questions playbook. And we will layer in a few current best practices that government guidance reinforces, like the fact that early and responsible exchanges with industry are encouraged, as long as you stay within procurement integrity rules under FAR. All right, let's start with the big idea. Contracting officers are constantly making decisions under uncertainty. They are balancing competition rules, schedules, budgets, small business goals, and program office pressure. Market research is part of that process, and FAR calls out market research as a key tool to arrive at the best approach to buying supplies and services. So the best communication does not feel like, hey, buy from me. It feels like, I understand what you are trying to do. Here is a helpful way to reduce your risk and speed up your path. That is the core shift. Now let's walk through the 15 reframes from that image, not as a list to memorize, but as a mindset you can apply in any email, any phone call, any capability briefing. First reframe. Instead of asking, any opportunities available? Ask, where does your team need support most? The first question signals you want them to do your job for you. The second question signals you understand their world is problem first, not vendor first. Here's what that looks like. Bad version. Hi, do you have any opportunities coming up? Better version. Hi, we support facilities maintenance for multi-site federal buildings. Where are you seeing the most strain this quarter? Coverage, response time, or backlog? You are giving them a menu. You are making it easy to answer. Second reframe. Instead of, can we send our capability statement? Ask, which capabilities reduce your risk? Capability statements are fine, but buyers do not wake up thinking, I hope someone sends me a capability statement today. They think, I need a vendor I won't regret. So ask the risk question. Try, when you source vendors in this area, what reduces your risk the most? Proven past performance, speed to mobilize, compliance posture, or surge capacity? Third reframe. Instead of, do you buy my service? Ask, where are your current bottlenecks? This is where you stop selling features and start diagnosing friction. Example, you are an IT support firm. Instead of, do you need IT support? Ask, where do tickets pile up the most? Onboarding, account provisioning, endpoint issues, or after-hours response? Fourth, instead of, any RFPs coming? Ask, what usually delays your requirements? This invites the contracting officer to tell you how the process actually moves. And you will hear things like funding timing, approvals, requirements churn, legal reviews, small business coordination, or the program office changing its mind. Fifth, instead of, who should I talk to? Ask, who influences this requirement internally? This is respectful and realistic. COs often are not the only voice. Program managers, end users, small business offices, legal and policy teams can all influence what ends up in the solicitation.
Sixth, instead of, what's your budget? Ask, what constraints matter most here? Direct budget questions can be awkward. Constraints questions are safer and more useful. You might learn the constraint is speed, or continuity, or security, or minimal transition risk, or geographic coverage, or a ceiling they cannot exceed. Constraints tell you how to propose, how to price, and how to position. Seventh, instead of, how do we win contracts? Ask, where do vendors usually fall short? This one gets you actionable feedback. COs will often say, vendors do not follow instructions, proposals are generic, pricing is unrealistic,
staffing plans are fantasy, or past performance does not map to the requirement. Eighth, instead of what do you need from vendors, ask what builds trust the fastest. Trust signals in GovCon are practical: responsive communication, clear documentation, no surprises, clean compliance posture, past performance that matches, realistic pricing. Trust is also why incumbents keep winning. It is not always favoritism, it is often risk avoidance. Ninth, instead of can we meet, ask what would make a meeting useful for you. A useful meeting to a contracting officer is typically short, structured, and aligned to their mission. It is not a sales pitch. It is a 15-minute capability briefing that answers what you do, what outcomes you have delivered, what makes you low risk, and what the next step would be if there is a fit. Now let's pause for an important best practice. Early engagement is not only allowed, it is encouraged. FAR allows responsible, constructive exchanges with industry as long as it does not create unfair competitive advantage. So your job is not to avoid talking to contracting officers because it feels risky. Your job is to communicate in a way that helps them do market research and reduces acquisition risk without asking for anything improper. Back to the reframes. 10th, instead of, can you review our proposal? Ask, where do proposals create the most risk? COs usually cannot review your proposal like a coach, but they can tell you where proposals typically fail: compliance errors, weak staffing, vague approaches, or pricing that looks unrealistic. 11th, instead of, are we qualified? Ask, what makes a vendor a strong fit here? This gets you fit criteria, not generic qualifications. Fit might mean similar environment, prior agency work, ability to mobilize quickly, certain clearances, or proven performance with a specific contract type. 12th, instead of, any feedback for us? Ask, where can we improve to reduce risk? This is a strong follow-up question after an initial conversation or a capability briefing. It shows maturity. It says you want to be easier to work with. 13th, instead of, how do we stay competitive? Ask, what defines a reliable partner? Reliability is underrated in GovCon. COs remember vendors who deliver, communicate early, document well, and avoid drama. 14th, instead of, can we follow up? Ask, when is the right time to reconnect? This is how you stay visible without being annoying. Some COs will say, after Q&A, after the draft RFP, after funding release, or after a recompete hits forecast. 15th, instead of, what should we do next? Ask, what would move this forward most effectively? That is a clean close. It avoids the awkward ending where nobody knows the next step. Now let's turn this into a simple outreach formula. Start with a short credibility anchor, one sentence. Then ask a buyer-centric question that reduces risk or clarifies constraints. Then offer a low-friction next step. Example email opener. Hi, Ms. Johnson. We support multi-site custodial and floor care for federal facilities. Quick question. Where do vendors usually fall short in your environment? Response times, staffing consistency, or quality control? If helpful, I can share a one-page summary of how we handle those risks. That works because it is not begging, it is not vague, and it is easy to answer. Now, a few practical don'ts. Do not ask questions that force the contracting officer to reveal sensitive information, like, who is the incumbent, as your first move. Ask about constraints and pain points instead. Do not send a capability statement with no context. If you send it, tell them exactly why it matters to them. Do not be long-winded. COs scan fast. Make it skimmable. And do not treat this like a one-time outreach. Market research and exchanges are ongoing. You are building familiarity and trust over time.
Now a quick scenario. Let's say you are a hub zone construction support firm and you want a capability briefing. Old approach. Can we schedule a meeting to introduce our company? Better approach. We support small renovation and maintenance projects under simplified buys. What would make a 15-minute capability briefing useful? Seeing past performance in similar facilities, understanding how we manage safety and schedule risk, or how we mobilize quickly. If you tell me your priority, I will tailor the briefing to that. Now you earned the meeting because you respected their time and their risk. All right, let's wrap with actionable takeaways. Reframe your outreach around the buyer's risk and constraints. Ask questions that are easy to answer and show you understand their world. Keep it short, helpful, and consistent. Treat every touch as market research support, not a sales pitch. And always end with a clear next step. Now, if you are listening and thinking, we know our capability, but we struggle to start these conversations, or we do not know who to reach out to, that is where FedBiz Access can help. We offer engagement coaching so you can approach contracting officers the right way with the right questions.
And we also provide direct marketing outreach to connect contractors with the right government buyers for their offerings. If you need help navigating these conversations, call us today at 844-6288-914. Thanks for listening to FedBiz 5. Until next time, stay helpful, stay credible, and keep winning in government contracting.